It's our life. 4 titles, 1 truth. I'm Tommie.
And I'm Lance. Today, we're talking about Black excellence, Black exhaustion, and what we may be passing down without realizing it.
All right, let's get into it. When did you realize being good wasn't enough? You had to be exceptional. And who were you watching when you learned that?
Woo! It really probably started in high school.
High school.
Where I really started paying attention to it.
Okay.
Big time. And that probably was because of the shift of going to school, because I was going to school with all that was really predominantly black.
In elementary?
In elementary.
Okay.
Elementary and junior high.
Okay.
And then 9th grade, whenever I went to high school, that's when it flip-flopped to where it was like, oh, shoot, we really, really start realizing, yeah, I am the minority. I knew it still, but just, where you were put in the situation, put in the environment.
Okay.
So, so then, then just seeing my father, working his day to day, and then how he transitioned between, being home in the neighborhood or around family to being at work and being in that professional environment, and then just having conversations with him about different things, and then just that being competitive and just like, I'm trying to be number one. I'm trying to do the best. So that being an athlete, being a student athlete, black student, then an athlete, black athlete, want to try to break some of the stereotypes that folks try to put in their head sometimes, where it's like, oh, they just good at sports.
And you were feeling that in high school?
Oh yeah, man.
Wow.
It's like, you look at, because I came in, I was wasn't. I had potential, to be a good student.
Right.
Where I probably would have been in the what they call them, the AP classes and stuff. I would have been in the high school, the junior high school, public junior high school or whatever. Mm-hmm. So those kids come in, and then they're, they're the peacock, running around, and it's like, I can know that shit too,
Yeah, I can do that.
So it was just one of those things where I felt like I had to prove myself on that piece, where it's like the Catholic school gave me a really good education, gave me a good base to jump off from and stuff. So, and it's just being, because I had an older brother, I had a younger sister. So it was like trying to, learn from my brother's example and push myself a little bit, trying to show my sister that, hey, it's okay, and my cousins, because I had younger cousins and stuff, like, hey, we can just trying to keep because it's just, you have so much pride in your name. So it was like, I got to keep my name, keep my name
relevant and represent.
Going.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Yeah.
Wow. It's hard because I was like the opposite, growing up in a white school, church, but being in a black neighborhood, I never really felt, at that time, I never really felt that I was, that I had to elevate. We're talking elementary. Mm-hmm. But one thing I did notice early, and it never really dawned on me until I read this question, just the way my dad carried himself and the way he did his everyday thing. So like when he was around the house, he'd be in a torn T-shirt, sitting in his lounge chair, shorts, holes in his socks, all
Relax.
that stuff.
He relaxed.
But you don't really... Didn't really dawn on me about that because it's his house, now, of course, it dawns on me. But anytime he had to go somewhere outside, there was a complete change. It was freshly showered. It was better clothes. And just the way he just carried himself was just completely different. And I noticed it as a kid, but it never really dawned on me what was actually happening. And then later I started to realize, because I was the same way. When I'm at home, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? I got glasses. I got my glasses on. I got
he ain't lying.
I got my we got these shirts, but I got the first edition, the ones that don't have the best material or don't have the sizing right, whatever. But when I'm at home, not chilling. But
right.
You mess around
it's a
and
safe
say,
environment. Yeah,
you mess around and say somebody coming over, or you mess around, and even if I go to Home Depot, I still tighten myself
Yeah.
up. Not like I put on church clothes or anything for.
But you're not looking like you're
Yeah,
homeless.
yeah,
That's, I
you
mean,
know, and so just thinking about that, it just led me to start thinking like, why am I doing that? And I'm like, the Jones name, because it's something that my dad used to always say. Joneses aren't just anybody. Uh, and and the pride that everybody has with our name. I'm talking cousins, uncles, and all that
mm-hmm.
stuff, and dad. So that was one thing, and then second thing was, the little pride that I took from that. So it
Right.
became like pride in myself, wanting to put my best foot forward when I'm out there,
Right.
right? And then, now you married, you don't want people to say, I saw your raggedy old looking husband somewhere. You don't ever want
Yeah.
that.
She with
So
him?
yeah,
What?
yeah. So I mean, it's bad enough I get that anyway. But
Yeah.
so it's always been about representation, right?
Yeah.
But then it got to be more than that, because when it's it's you don't realize it's more than that. You think I just thought it was just what my dad was doing.
Mm-hmm.
But the more you start to grow up, and the more you
Right.
start to open your mind and start to really see what's going on, it's like that's something that's been stressed to us for
I mean, I think some of it has just been like Im- embedded in us
yeah,
without us really
absolutely
even without
having to
our
be taught
knowledge.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I
yeah,
think it's just one of those things where you just see. I mean, you see it
yeah,
unconsciously.
yeah,
That's what I
unconsciously,
mean.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, you just see it and you know, okay, this is what I have to do, which is unfortunate because it's like this the way that I feel is like we make folks feel comfortable around us
because yes,
in their
yes,
we'll call it their in
yes,
environments that we feel
yes,
like aren't
yes,
ours
yes, yes.
instead of just
Instead of just being who we are.
right.
Yes,
Well,
yeah.
okay, so is how we present ourselves pride or protection, and how do you know the difference?
It's both,
Mm-hmm.
because of what we were starting to talk about.
Yep.
Because I know for a fact, well, for my fact, I ain't going to sit there and do that. I know a fact to me is that growing up,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have had the same opportunities as I'm adulting, right? Growing
Right.
up as a young man, if I wasn't aware of my presentation.
Yeah.
Because something I teach soldiers, something I teach my children, and something I learned
Mm-hmm.
because my dad showed me without telling me, is that you never get a second chance to make a first impression. You know what I'm saying? And and so going out was, and when I would go out and how I'd present myself, of course it was pride, like I said, and family name, and as a black person, and all that stuff. That pride that you feel, because you feel like you're the man. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Whatever level it is depends on your confidence, right? But I also know that there are rooms that I would have never gotten into if I hadn't adjusted the way I
Presented in
presented
a
myself.
way. Yeah. I mean,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's
And in the military, they call it being professional. And that is good and fine, right? But the reality of it is, it's white people's terms, right? On their terms.
right.
It's their term for being on their terms, because if I'm loud, they don't see that as professional,
Mm-mm.
right?
Mm-mm.
But if I'm sitting here and me and you laughing and talking, it's professional. I mean, hey, you being you,
Right.
you represent you and all
It's
that
not a
stuff.
threat. I mean, they
Exactly.
yeah.
And so, one thing that I did learn, that after watching my dad and growing up and getting older, it was protection, because it was um, that fear that I developed of missing an opportunity. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And that's why it was so important to me that when people saw me in uniform, it was so important to me that they saw a professional. They
Right.
saw a joker they could depend on.
Look the part.
Absolutely, that's how it's all related to that for me.
Yeah. For me, I mean, to me, it's the how we present ourselves. It's the situation, and then who.
Who's the audience?
Yeah, who's the audience? Who I'm with? Who I'm around? Because I'm gonna present myself one way when I'm in a setting of work setting or whatever, and whoever I'm, the patient is, just to make sure that they're comfortable, and don't have any doubts about whatever the care or what the information, whatever I'm giving them to, and I understand that.
Right.
I understand that just because of understand a lot better now, being the age that we are, just because of how folks grew up. Understanding that people grew up in different places, people had different views, and people. I mean, and the rhetoric and all the stuff that's on the TV, and the stereotypes that are getting thrown out there. People are impressionable.
Absolutely.
So
judge you before they meet you.
Right.
100%.
So absolutely have to present. You walking that tightrope.
Yeah.
When dealing with that, but I mean, it's the you hit it with the pride, and it's one of those things where it's just you want to uplift, you want to make those qualities and all those things shine, so that
But that leads me to you. So I'm just assuming that my dad's dad, my grandfather, would tell my dad, "Boy, fix yourself up." You know what I'm saying? So I'm imagining that, right? But then I try to put myself in my grandfather's space of why he's doing that. You know what I'm saying? And my belief is that he's doing that to try to get my dad through and beyond that stereotype of black people are lazy, black people don't know how to take care of themselves, black people aren't smart enough. Blah, blah,
I
blah,
mean,
right?
if people have been looking at you like you're an animal, and that you don't know how to clean, you stink, you are ugly, I mean, all of those things that they
figures,
all of those stereotypes and things like that. So they were like, nope. So when we go out, we're gonna be dressed in our Sunday best when we go to the grocery store. We're gonna present and look this way
or
to
just
say
when we go to church.
Yeah, well, that's
you know what I'm saying?
That's
Just
why we always go
how super dressed up we are. It's because it's that. But then I go to my father, and my father always telling me, "Boy, watch your face, boy. Fix where you going? No, not like that. You ain't going.
Comb your hair, brush your hair. I mean, and
that stuff.
And and that was passed on to us.
Absolutely. And so, but what's passed on from my grandfather to my dad, the pressure is different than when my dad passed it on to me, and the pressure is different than when I pass it on to my son. And it's because we, just like I told you before,
you think it's more or less?
More.
You think
less.
You think it's less?
I think we're definitely the traits that we picked up from our father and our grandparents are wonderful traits, but they come with weight.
And that's what I was. That's what I wanted to get at is that I feel like us, because we have to try to I feel. Yeah. I don't know if my son feels that way now, but I feel like we have to maintain that, if not exceed it.
We do, and that's why I'm saying the weight's different, because my dad did it because he was standing on that Jones name. My dad did it because he remembers how poorly black people were treated, black men specifically. And my dad did it, and once again, it was a teaching point for me, but it wasn't like he sat down. I mean, he said things, you know what I'm saying, but it was one of those things that he enforced without sitting me down and giving me a PowerPoint presentation, you know what I'm saying?
I mean,
and so the change, like, so my grandfather, my grandmother, and their family, there was 12 of them in that house. It's a small house, and the amount of wealth they had was, they were okay with life, happy with life, but it wasn't the freedom that in a perfect world anybody would
Right.
want, right? There's the struggle of being in Troy, Alabama, the struggle of being raising kids in the 30s, 40s, 50s, the struggle of still trying to find your place, the struggle of realizing that you, from where they're from, getting the best job for them is not likely to happen. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And then it goes to my father, to where all that weight came from my grandfather, not because of I want you to drown. It was all this weight's put on my father because he wants him to be successful. My grandfather wants him to be successful. My grandfather wants him to be better at life than he was. You know what I'm saying? And then, and I have to throw my Uncle Jerry in there because he was the father figure.
Right.
And then it comes to us, to where my living condition is completely different than my father's. There was only four of us in a house, a 2-story house on a corner, you know what I'm saying? And um, my dad made good money, but he was still busting his butt, you know what I'm saying? But he was in a situation where he got onto a steel plant and, rose up through the steel plant to be able to make decent money by the time I was like in high school, right around there. And so he had a great job with benefits and all that stuff. And so it's completely different than what he grew up in. And that was my grandfather's hope, you know what I'm saying? And so the weight that my dad had from my grandfather to him, it was different because his desire to succeed in life was desperation. You know what I'm saying? And was like working your fingers to the bone and making his way, and now having a family to where they ain't broke, right?
Right.
And so now it passed on to me. I'm in a situation where my desperation to be successful was less about my where I came from, and less about the super hardships I had growing up, but more about pride, you know what I'm saying? And
Building the legacy.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
and it changed into adulthood because I started to see what my dad was doing was being an example.
Right.
And then the weight that was sort of off of me, that made me a little lazy sometimes, that made me not care as much sometimes, but the weight came back because I started to realize people are looking at me, not white people, not older people, but young men are looking at me now in the situation where I'm in, and how am I leaving them? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So just the weight changed, but it came back.
Right.
I don't know if it'll come back for our kids. You know what I'm saying? So, and what I mean by that is the weight of being black. I don't know if it's going to be
Well,
as
you know
heavy.
what? I tell you, I think the current situation that we got going on in our country now. I
Yes,
think a lot more aware. A lot of kids are a lot more aware
absolutely,
of
than they were.
than they were
Yeah,
before, or they are really seeing that
we ain't
okay,
past
yeah,
this.
we ain't past this. We
Yeah,
ain't we're not the same like they're trying to present and
yeah,
say they are, because
yeah.
I can tell you both of mine are, especially the boy, which
Yeah.
I'm glad. He is aware.
They're starting
Is
to see it.
very very aware of what's
Yeah,
going on. So
and
for
that's
me,
sad.
yeah, I mean, but for me now, for him,
Yeah,
is like, because I feel like now I got to try to protect him a little bit now, because I don't want him to, just because he hasn't had to deal
yeah,
with
to go over the top.
the the
Yeah,
super craziness stuff where you can be like, okay,
it's
I
still
don't
in
need
his
to,
head.
what
Yeah,
you call it, I don't want him popping off on somebody or saying something, and then again, everybody got a weapon. I don't need
yeah,
him getting shot over some dumb
yeah.
crap,
So yeah,
So
yeah. But that's yeah. So that's that's where that took me, because it's just like I know the weight that I felt in the military as I was becoming an adult was not on me because of the military, because racism is a thing, right? Racism is something that every black person, there I go speaking. I believe that every morning, as soon as you wake up and you're on your way out the house, racism is
It's a
in your mind.
chance. Yeah,
It's in your
I can
mind.
tell you for us, it's always. I feel like we are always on guard,
Absolutely.
which is I get tired.
Which is the
Yeah,
point of this
yeah. I
conversation.
mean, you get tired. I
Yeah.
mean, and it's like I want, and it's
Exhaustion.
like doesn't matter how
Yeah.
much, how successful,
Nope.
how much, talking military terms, how much rank I got.
Nope.
What I always felt
The
on
weight.
guard. Yeah, I always felt
the
like
weight.
I had
Absolutely.
to
Absolutely.
make sure that I was presenting in a certain way so that I wasn't embarrassing folks that came before me,
Yeah.
folks that were underneath me, and myself,
Yeah.
my
And
family.
yeah. And
So
then specifically black people who see you,
right,
you walk into, like, we used to go for lunch, you know what I'm saying? And we, while we're in uniform, go for lunch somewhere, and you walking in there, and the whole point is that how are you being received? You're sitting there like, and that's part of, like I said, why I try to keep myself tight and my uniform tight and all that stuff, because I always wanted to be seen as, and it hurts to say it, but the right example. You know what I'm saying? And then,
well, it's the textbook.
yeah, yep.
Yeah.
So, are we teaching our children, and I want to highlight sons, excellence from confidence or from fear of missed opportunity?
Both. They walk in the same footsteps. I think
Even
I
if
say
they
for
don't
us.
realize it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean because we are very confident on the things that we try to sit them down and tell them and teach them. We are very confident about it. A lot of times because we either knew somebody that that happened to, or they did it,
Yeah.
or the
From
path that
true
they took.
experience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we know.
Yeah.
Or in the same sentence, we didn't do something, so that fear of, look, you can do. I missed this, or I jacked this up, so this is what you don't do
Yeah.
in order to be successful at whatever. But we got to make sure that it is, which I had to really dial myself back and learn, is to let them choose, what their path was,
Find their
gonna
own
be,
way.
and
Yeah.
and it's and that's another thing where it's man, should I have had a more of a a hand directing some of that, but
Controlling.
yeah, but it's like they have to learn some of this stuff. We can push them a little more to try to help direct them, but they have to do it because we can't do it for them. So
You can't. This is something I've learned. It's for soldiers as well as with kids. You can't put intensity in somebody unless they find it.
yeah,
And that's something that I realize you can't pass on, because you'd see so many soldiers with so much potential, but just not have the energy or
yeah,
the desire to want to excel.
and that's hard.
Oh my gosh!
That's wow. That's
And
hard.
then it's the same way with your kids. They
And that's hard.
that's worse, because it's worse because I know for a fact that if I wasn't hyper, if I wasn't a super aggressive, if I wasn't bold and loud, I know for a fact my career would have been stalled somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And so, and that hunger to succeed and show people that you belong there, and to show people that you're not somebody to be messed with, and then on top of that, you're doing it for yourself, of course, but you also realize that you're doing it for your family, and then you also mature and realize that you're doing it for your race. And even if you don't accept that, it's still there, because the impression, because
Yep.
as a grown man, that the impression you walk out of a room with affects the next person that's
Yeah, I
walking
mean, it's
in
gonna
there.
help somebody.
But
Yeah.
you're aware of that. But the person walking in that room may not be aware of it, because most of the time they aren't. Because if they were, then they would look at you different. You know what I'm saying? They look at you more as more gracefully, more elderly, as an elder, not as an old man. But they would look at you as a pathfinder, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? A trailblazer. And I'm not putting that on today's people. I'm saying the same thing for when I was young. The people, when I look back over my career, there were people that at the time, I was like, come on, man.
Right.
You old. You know what I'm saying? You stuck in your old way, whatever. But them old Sergeant First Classes back then, them jokers, they weren't as old as I thought they were, at the time. But at the same time,
same way with officers.
yeah, they would open their mouth and they would say stuff, hoping that you catch it because they know they may not have another opportunity with you, or they don't even know if you're gonna listen to it. You know what I'm saying? And so,
But you got to put it out there to them.
100%, man. And then the thing is like, and so thinking about this and going down that path I have, it's just like, so when I was raising my son from kid up, and when I was giving him information, and when I had all these super expectations for him, what lens was I looking in? You know what I'm saying? Was I looking in the, we got to do this for black people, we got to do this for, you know what I'm saying? Or am I looking through the lens solely of a father who wants the best for their son? And that's,
Well, I think, again, like you say, we're not going to speak for everything. When you're dealing with your kids, you're looking at what's going to be the best for them.
yeah, but you're looking at everything at once. And
I
that's
mean,
what I'm saying. Like, for instance, police.
I see what you're saying, because it is, but the first and foremost is I'm looking at what's going to be the best for them. And then with the caveat of they're black,
Yeah. Yeah.
male, female.
Yeah.
And these are some of the obstacles that you might run in. That's how I was like, this is some of the things that might come up because of that.
Yeah.
But you are more than capable of
Fighting
getting
your way
past
through
that
it.
and, setting the example and getting more. Because the thing is like, you look, we were on vacation this past week.
Uh-huh.
And this is a perfect example of this. It was, me and Audra and a few more of the folks in our
Black
group there.
friends?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
black friends in the group. And we were really the only black, the only black people in this, in this, on this trip and in this area,
Yeah.
And we saw, like, when we saw, like, another group, it was like, hey, what's up, so, but it's like, we run into that all the time where it's like, why are we the only ones, but then it's like, but we gotta be to show we can be here
Welcome.
too,
Absolutely.
and we can do this
Our
too.
money
We can
spent.
appreciate
Absolutely.
drinking wine,
Yeah.
and those are things that we understand and been to different places and can talk about why the rose bushes are at the front of the grape the
vineyard.
vine rows.
Yeah.
We know that stuff.
Yeah.
We know that stuff. So it's just like it's one of those things where it's just like, God.
Yeah.
Again, another thing that's it's exhausting. It's like, God.
It
dog,
is, because I'm gonna tell
get
you
tired
another
of it.
level of that is, so we were on vacation in a different spot, and we was in Switzerland, but but the spot we were in is, and the group we were with, it was me and Nikki out of, I want to say 20 some, and it's in me now, but I'm still wearing that weight, like you're saying. I'm almost as concerned, and sometimes it can be overwhelming, but I'm almost as concerned about being in the moment and trying to enjoy the vacation or whatever. But I'm also sitting there saying, I'm not one of one. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm still
because
thinking,
I'm
still
it's
thinking that way.
yeah, because
Yeah.
that it's others that would appreciate
Oh,
could be there with you, but it's just like it. But it, and that's the thing, is like we know that it's other folks that
we're not
could
the
be
only
there.
ones.
Yeah, we're not. But it always seems like, man, why is it just?
But I feel like that if I don't and it's not. I don't. Fortunately, it's my personality.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it wasn't, then I'd probably be asleep every time I was out of the spotlight. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just as a hyper, like sitting here right
Energy.
now, I could
Big energy.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want my son to ever have to feel this way, or my daughter to ever have to feel this way. And like there was a time when we could say that black kids, they don't get hung no more, but it'll still pop up somewhere that a black kid was hung. So you can't sit there and take away all that concern.
Mm-hmm.
You can't sit there and tell your kid. I can't tell my son that we're at a point now where your blackness is just something internal. You know what I'm saying? And it'll ooze out of you. I can't tell him that because I can't just tell him that. I have to tell him, don't speed when you're by yourself because the cops could pull you over.
Mm-hmm.
When the cops pull you over, roll down your freaking windows, all of them. And when the cop starts walking up towards you, make sure your hands are above the window so that jokers can make sure that you're not going to be a threat.
Yep.
I still had to tell my son that. You know what I'm saying?
We still told ours all of that stuff. But and the thing is that it's again, they haven't experienced it or grown up in it.
I don't want to put that weight on them,
and that's
I
what
have to.
Yeah, because you feel like you're not doing right by them if you don't say
right.
because you know that it's folks out there that are
We'll
in
catch 'em
our
slipping.
are in our generation or were raised by somebody that have that mindset that we are less, and this is how you treat them.
Yeah, and so we
type
sitting
of
there
attitude,
telling our kids to be the best they can be, trying to give them our fire, which it's impossible to do.
It's one of those
hopes
things that
you hope and wish.
Yeah, but it's like you can't put you on them.
No,
I can't.
And something a friend told me the other day, he was like, the hardest thing, Jermaine, he was like, the thing that he had to realize and the thing that we all have to realize some days at some point is my understanding of a situation, of a moment. It doesn't mean that that's the way you're going to do it. Yeah, that doesn't mean it. So I can't put my values and my expectations on anybody and expect success and expect happiness for them because they're not me and I'm not them.
You know what? And then I came to that realization that I gave my kids the basics. I tried to give them all of the good basics and stuff, and I tried to give them a good example, but they're going to be the adults that they're going to be. And all I can hope is that they situations arise and they whatever decision that they make and they go, win. Dad, my dad said this, or they come back and say, Dad, you were right.
Yep. I'm with you.
I said such, and that's all I can go is go, okay, cool. And that's happened to me, a couple of times with my kids, and I've been like, okay, cool, all right, I'm glad I can help out. Then you go
back in the room. They did get it.
You should be like, hey, they remember when I told them?
Yeah, they did get it. I'm with you.
Yeah.
But it's the fear is still there. But is that fear from our experiences in our life, or is it fear of because of? And it's.
I think it's.
But it's unique times right now.
Yeah, but I say a lot of it is fear from us, just because we don't.
What we've been through.
Yeah, we don't want that to be our kids' reality or whatever. We don't want them to have to deal with that because we don't feel like they should. If we've already done it, we already done it and experienced it. We don't want it. We don't feel like they should even have to deal with that crap. So
if we walk the path, we feel like they should be able to see that path and walk the way that was successful. Yep. And if you see us turn left, then you stop and consider going straight or turning right.
It's tax season now. So it's like it's that thing where it's like you want the tax to have to be, to be a little less on each. And that's probably how our parents and grandparents felt. It's like, you're still going to have to deal with this, but hopefully it should be less, a lot less than what I had
Yeah.
to. So,
Especially by me making you aware of it.
yeah,
And that's the
yeah.
talk.
Check this out.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever felt pressure to present yourself a certain way so you wouldn't be seen as too black, while also not wanting to look like you were trying to be less black?
Yes, I've had to monitor and control my blackness because I equate it to effective communication.
Right.
Right. You always want to make sure that your message is getting across.
That's, I mean, and that's spot on
Yeah.
right there. I mean, because a lot of it is dealing with communication.
Absolutely. And so if you sitting down at a table and it's mixed races, then the way you talk has to be, I kept saying before is the Army teaches you to bring everything to the Army lingo, to the Army way of doing things. Because the closer you can get everybody to that streamlined way of communicating, understanding the acronyms, the initials, understanding the rules and regulations, and understanding the formalities and the expectations, and understanding the UCMJ, the court martial, understanding that it's the consequences of failing to do so. The closer you can get everybody to that, the more effectively your team can communicate.
Right.
Your whatever can
Well,
communicate.
everybody understands
Absolutely.
what the mission is, what the
Understands what you're trying to get
goal
across.
is.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's where it is. So like when I wake up in the morning, I'm listening to R&B or hip hop, and I'm moving, maybe singing or rapping or whatever. Off key, it don't matter because that's what I do. But when I am getting closer to the office, I'm turning the music down because, saying I'm too busy understanding the rules and regulations of sound on bass. You know what I mean? So at one point it was 25 meters. If the MP can hear you 25 meters away, you get a daggone ticket. So closer I get to bass, turn my music down, right? And then I'd get into my office, and the less the office is, the more I'm still who I am, right? But I've changed, of course, because I've crossed that threshold and I'm in the office now. And so, and then when I'm sitting down in a meeting, I'm speaking clear and concise. I'm trying not to over talk or under talk, but trying to get the message out and get what I need from my subordinates, as well as from my leaders, and all that. But when I go to lunch with some friends of mine, no matter what race they are, I'm more relaxed, but I'm still in uniform, still trying to put that out there. But you catch me in civilian clothes on the weekend with with friends or black friends specifically, people would be surprised about, how relaxed I am. Would be surprised maybe how I talk. It's one of the things I had to understand. And there is a thing called blackness, and we joke about it being a black card, right? But there is an expectation from other black people for them to see certain characteristics in you, certain traits. And if you lose those characteristics or traits, then they start to be like, is this joker, have they given up their blackness to be with, what I'm saying? There's all kinds of, and once again, I'm talking about this added weight that goes there. And then you have to deal with, I've mentioned it before, with you got these younger soldiers, black men specifically walking around, black women being abused and whatever by other leaders. And so you have to, I accepted that weight, and I had to make sure that my black subordinate soldiers, peers, and seniors knew that I saw them as peers instead of beings or things and items. And, I took the weight to present myself in a way that was professional and locked in, so that the younger black soldiers can see that this joker is the part, but you could see that this blackness is glowing on this Joker.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And but the way he talks, you know, and the way he gets his point across, and the way he controls the room and controls the unit, you know, I'm thinking about all that stuff and trying to be a good role model, an example for the younger generation,
Right.
you know. And so all of that weight means that I can't get in trouble. I can't get demoted.
Right.
I can't get Article 15, UCM's Uniform Code of Military Justice. I don't know why I didn't say it earlier, but I can't put a daggone mark on this presentation because if I do, then everything that I've tried to do now is compromised.
But you wouldn't do that anyway. I mean, that's one of the things you wouldn't want to do anyway, just because.
Yeah, take away from what.
Yeah, that's breaking the rules, or you know, however you want to look at that piece of it. But just the way that you were.
But there's still times
just the way that
you gotta. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say just the way that you present yourself.
Yeah.
And whatever the audience, because this is what you call it. I think how I was sometimes was depending on who my audience was how I had to how I felt I had to project to make folks comfortable, where they were open to listen and really truly understand, and not just sit there and look at me like this black guy saying, or what is he talking about? Or does he really know?
Because of communication.
Blah blah blah. You know. Like we were in, sitting in a room where it's a bunch of black people, where it's like, you're going to understand it this way, you know, and understand why you have to. I mean, I would tell, especially younger folks, like, look, this is what you're going to have to do. You can't come from the hood. You know, they're not going to know what you're saying. Yeah. You're going to intimidate them. They're going to be scared of you. They're not going to, not going to want to be around you in that way. So, I mean, I would speak to them like I was speaking to you, just so that they understand and know, because they would see me, how I spoke to them in the group, and say, okay, this is how what you said. Or, I mean, first thing that you said about communicating. Yeah. And and I think that's a huge, that's a huge piece of this, is if you can't effectively communicate where everybody understands, not just one group, then you're not going to be successful. You're not going to be able to get your point across.
And this goes, then also take it back to where we were talking about, to where it comes to like the younger generation. We're talking soldiers, our children, and the other ones we see. It's just like you want them to get it earlier than you got it, so that it's less of a problem. The fact that they're fighting you back, it frustrates us, but because we forget that we were fighting back too. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Maturity is not something you have at 18 locked in on what you want to do the rest of your life and forever, in the way it's
those different life experiences but similar.
Yeah.
Because it's like I didn't have the same. I don't think I had the same. I know I didn't have the same experiences as my father growing up, but I know I had similar. Some of the stuff probably that he had to deal with, but he was better off. I was better. I know growing up, I was better off than what he was growing up, just because of that financial piece of it, and then where he sent us to school, and and things like that.
Came from Mississippi. That's enough, right?
So there. I mean, but the same thing with our kids is that. In the military, a lot of times we don't necessarily live where we want to live. We live where the school district is for the kids. Yeah, so 100%. First thing you do is when you're talking to the realtor or whatever, it's like, where's the best school district? Yeah. So then it's like, okay, this is where I want to start looking now. Then
you get frustrated. They don't act like you.
Yes. So so that's the other thing, is like, you did that to yourself, so it's like so it's like, and which is it's a good thing, and that's what I've learned, that you don't need to be the dog that I was, but you want them to have some of that dog in them.
Because you can protect them way
Right.
better than our parents could
Right.
and their parents could.
Right.
No, I'm with you. But my biggest thing is I've always felt this way, and I think it's because of my dad, and I appreciate him for it, is the fact that that second chance, you never know when that first opportunity could to change your life.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And so the impressions that people take away from you is what opens the door, not just for you, and that's what I was saying about this trip we went on, is that I, as an adult, grown black man who's experienced life, my takeaway from that is I hope the people that I was around have a stronger feeling about letting black people closer to them.
Right.
That's something.
Not being afraid.
Yeah,
You know.
and that's a weight that I take on and I carry because I accepted the role of
Right.
who I am and what I think my legacy is and what I think my role is in this world.
I think we do a really good job at not shutting out folks, not shutting out white folks, or not, giving folks a chance.
It's amazing.
I mean, I don't think that we ever, and I'm just speaking for me and you, because I've been around you, been out with you, vacation, been to other countries and stuff with you. So I think we will sit down and talk and speak and are able to relate to, find something that is like, yep, my kid does that same thing. Because I had that where it was like, was talking to somebody and I was like, yep, my son does that same thing.
They were venting.
Yeah, and I was like, yep, my son. Well, one of our friends, even here, one of our friends' son, same thing. He's white. He's
same
white.
Space.
Yeah, Matt, Miles, one of Miles's friends' fathers. We sit down and talk about stuff, and it's like, yep, same thing. I mean, it could have been talking about Miles, or I could have been talking about his, his son. So it's like, so I mean, we have more. We're similar, more in common, more similarities than what folks will allow to get in. So I mean, I think we do a great job at being open and trying to break that piece of it, because when it's like that, it's not as exhausting as what you expect, because it's like I hate being on guard or what can I say, what don't I want to say, I don't want to offend somebody, which I don't, which is like, I don't think it's offensive, but they might think it's offensive. But if I was talking to
having to think for everybody when you're having a conversation, I'm the same way, and it's just. So let me ask you a question. Me and you growing up was different. Was a lot alike, except my father passed away a long time, so 17 years, right? So you had your father in your life 17 more years than me. And so I want to attack this from an officer enlisted as well as our situation. When I joined the military, it was random, and I was on my own. I had nobody. My uncle was a Marine, but he had been out of the Marines for a while, and he gave me some of the greatest advice right before I went to basic training. So Uncle Greg was very valuable in me getting my head ready for what I was going into, even though it was like a 20-year difference, right? But when I joined and left, it was just, I left my mother, my father, my sister, and of course, cousins, all that stuff. But the core of my family I left was those four. I joined the Army in 91, and then during that time, I'm evolving and becoming, who I am. I had made the Sergeant First Class list the year before my dad passed.
Okay.
And was waiting for my number to get called. So I'd gone all the way up to a staff sergeant promotable with my father. And looking back, I don't know if I didn't take advantage of it enough, or if I don't know if the way my father and our relationship was up, we just didn't have a whole lot of conversation. You know what I'm saying? It was, did we talk? Yeah, we talked. Did we love each other? Yeah, it's obvious. Do I have any negative feelings? But absolutely not, because I know that he was present and I know he did the best he could do.
Right.
So there's no uh, anything underneath what I'm trying to say right now, undertones. But military conversations and stuff like that, I was always on my own because you PCS, you leave friends, you know what I'm saying? And so, and cell phones weren't a super thing early on. And so when he passed, that was the one outlet I had. And then from Song First Class to Sar Major, it was just me. Um, and not like I said, even then, I had a couple friends that were sort of like mentor-ish, friends-ish, but it's not like
It's not the same.
no, and it's also not like I'm going to divulge everything to them. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm not going to call my partner of mine up, and be like, man, so you know what I'm saying. So didn't have that, and I learned watching, I learned adjusting myself, and then I learned off the foundation that they gave me. And so, to where your example was, and that I went and enlisted and joined the military.
Mm-hmm.
Your example was you joined, or you left there, you left home and went to school, and then you found a tribe.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And then that tribe ended up joining the army, and most of them ended up joining the army, staying in the army, and y'all stayed connected.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then at the same time, you had your father right there with you.
Yep.
So, do you see some possible advantages that you may have had, just from your opinion, and something we could talk about so that we could find out if there really was some advantages, disadvantages?
Having that tribe.
Yeah, well, tribe and your father.
My father was absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you, because my father died in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
In my last 3 years of being in the military were hard.
Oh.
Because I would call, whenever I was different things would come up, I could call my father and be like, "Hey, Daddy, such this is what's going on," and he would tell me a story about something, and and it'd be like, okay, that makes sense, or okay, I understand, and he would, I could get that. That was the one source of knowledge, criticism, constructive criticism, whatever you want to call it, that I could listen to, and it made sense. It made sense. It stuck. I wasn't trying, and I wasn't fighting it. I wouldn't fight that, because I know it was coming.
So when you went to him, there was no fight in you. No. It was, I'm listening.
Yeah, I help. I felt like it was the genuine, sincere help. Something I didn't get offended. I didn't feel butthurt. Nothing. None of that, because it was that situation.
The ultimate mentor.
Yeah,
I get it.
Because it just and with our with our friends that we had, that was just that was instrumental in just being able to raise our family the way that we were able to, being dual military, and then having some of the other friends that were also, so we all knew so we were there to help each other. So then we were also all black, so we're going through different but similar situations, and so it was just like, it was a great network just to be able to call, help out, so it just made that piece of being in the military, where we're a minority, and then we're all doing well, so we're all progressing, and as you go up more in rank, then you start seeing less and less of yourself around. So it was knowing that somebody else was going through that same situation that we were going through, that I was going through. That piece made it a lot easier, but the leaders, just the life and the leadership piece is what I was. But it's a lot of stuff that a lot of stuff that my father would tell me I knew. already, but it's like you just needed that.
Make sure you
All
ain't
right,
crazy.
yeah,
Yeah,
you need that reassurance
absolutely,
type of piece. So,
absolutely.
and you didn't feel crazy whenever somebody that you're trying to explain.
They don't
Yeah,
know
they don't understand. And
don't
it's
know
like,
you
okay,
well enough
yeah, so
to
it's
be able
like
to give you a response that
exactly.
you
So
could
I mean, and that's the way
receive.
that I felt
Yeah,
my last few, my last 3 years without him being there, without me being able to talk to him. Was I know I'm not crazy. I
yeah,
know I'm not crazy. I know this shit is right. I know
yeah.
what I'm saying is
Right,
what it should be,
right.
and these jokers are not. So it just got super. I mean, it just made the job super frustrating, and
Yeah,
it's hard to, especially a job that you love, because
yeah. You're
I love
passionate.
doing my job, and it was just like it got to the point where it's like, oh my God, I can't,
Can't do
I
your
can't
job.
anymore. Yeah, I
Yeah,
can't anymore.
yeah.
So,
I get that one.
but yeah, I mean, so that was I would say that's yes, it was an advantage, I
Yeah,
think, to have to go in to start off with that group,
yeah,
because I mean I could imagine you felt like I'm feeling like I ain't got nobody here with me.
yeah.
I'm feeling alone right now.
Yeah.
So I understand why you went as hard as you did, and you you made sure all of your shit was on point, and you used the your physical advantages that you had, and you said, well, this is what I know that I have,
Yeah,
and this is what I'm going.
makes me. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm going to shine on this right now. And
yeah,
then once you knew you had that on lock, then you start doing the going through the manuals and getting
yeah,
all of that, getting right on that piece.
yeah.
Where we were in a situation where it was like, hey man, you ever had to, because that's what I would be like, hey, Kelsey, you the what was she,
IG.
the IG, yeah. Tell me about this situation right here. What's
Yeah,
what's what's my op? I was able to do that with folks, or or when folks are in command and stuff like that. And it's like command is command. You got to know the basic stuff, and,
absolutely,
and being able to
absolutely.
be able to vent to somebody
Yeah,
else, where it'd be
yeah.
like, yeah, I understand, I know what you're talking about. So
So, yeah, because I know I don't know if I had if my father had lived longer, and if because nobody I went to basic with, as far as I was able to find in my career,
hmm
nobody I went to basic with lasted more than like 4 years in the military. So I had no battle buddies,
that came
long
up
term.
with you.
Yeah. And then by the time I started getting into that, I didn't need, I never looked for that. I never, because I always felt I was leaving. And so if, dudes are funny. You know what I'm saying?
hmm
You could vibe with a dude and be cool, but if that dude is more loyal or has more friendly with somebody else,
hmm
your stuff is all in that stuff now. You know what I'm saying? It's just the same. Hey, guys, the girls and guys do the same thing when it
Yeah.
comes to friendship and all that stuff. And so the reason I asked that question, because when I was thinking about this, I was just like, that's where my desperation came from. You know what I'm saying? And your, I can see how yours is um, I see your fire is the exact same.
hmm
I see your want to be as good as you possibly can be is the same. But I also see your I'm gonna give you some props, so just hold up. But I see the way you handle stuff now. It's as if I can see the results of how you were born. You know what I'm
hmm
saying, or how you were raised and how you were able to make. Because I know that if I had more time with my dad, I know that this temper I have, and I know that um, this competitive thing that I have, and this fire emotion that I
hmm
have. That's all. Everything I just said. Forget the emotion that I have in me. I'd understand better, and I would have come across
Different.
differently. I
Yeah.
don't know how it would have affected who I am or whatever. I don't know if it would have made me become a warrant officer one day or
Uh huh.
go to OCS one day or even take it up the chain further with the jobs that I wasn't able to achieve. But I just know that my takeaway from that is I want to be the teammate for my children that life took away with my dad, because my dad passed away, in 2004. And I talking about this and talking about the weight of being a black man in the United States, I don't think there's enough that we could say that can make any other race understand the plight that we have. Right. I'm coming out of the womb, you know what I'm saying? Because the moment we're born, and if you have a black father near you, that black father now is scared to death that the world's going to chew you up for being the color you are. Yeah. This is before your personality is developed.
And that's funny. I mean, I wouldn't say it's funny, but it's like, it's one of those things where it's like I never felt like a woe is me. No. Being black, it was always like, okay, what do I need to do? Because it was always wanting to go to the next rung on the ladder. So it's like, okay, what do I need to do?
But you're also constantly being told of the pitfalls.
Yes.
And you're constantly being made aware of the pitfall. So woe is me is not, you don't have time for that. And that's what I'm trying to get across is the fact that I had to succeed because I knew that if I didn't succeed, my place on this earth was not going to just automatically wake up one day and I'd be okay. I knew that was not a possibility. And even though it wasn't the path that I thought, even though it wasn't the plan that my parents had, the one thing I knew was I am not going to be a failure. Well, you know what I'm saying?
And that's I tell you, same situation where it was like I was getting the stuff.
Yeah.
But then it's like, I ain't trying to lose this either. So it's like, because that somebody can take it away from you or might be trying to take it. Yeah. So it's like, I'm not going to lose this, and I'm not going to give them a reason to be able to accomplish that mission that they might be trying to do. So
I didn't have my first drink of alcohol till I was like 27, 28, 26, 27. I'd never consistently thought about drinking until I was 45, consistently drinking, meaning not that I'm alcoholic, but meaning like if I go out somewhere and get a cocktail. So I can tell you now, I've only been drunk in my life maybe twice, maybe 3 times. I'm talking about drunk. Tipsy, that number goes. Look, that number goes. But drunk.
I got some stories.
I'm sure you do. But I'm going to tell
Fortunately, unfortunately.
And I'm going to tell you, the reason I wasn't is because I felt I always had to be in control of myself, man. And I've missed a lot of opportunities as far as having fun and partying and all that stuff. But I just was not going to be that dude. And there were times when I let my guard down and lucked my way through stuff. But it's just, it's just crazy. If excellence wasn't tied to survival or perception, would you still push it as hard? Would you have pushed as hard as you did in your life if you didn't feel like you were in a situation where if I don't do it, we ain't gonna make it?
Yeah, I mean, that's hard though, because I always think in my mind is like I would want to be successful anyway. I don't feel like I would have been okay with just being
average.
Yeah, just being. I'm good with being average now. I don't have a problem. with it. But that's.
Well, I mean,
that's after the fact that I don't feel like I have to be to shoot above and beyond or do but I think
I wish I could get that.
Yeah.
I'm serious, man. I don't.
No, I feel. I mean, as I say, I feel now where it's like, wait. I mean, I get. You know what? It's redirecting it into other. To other things is what I'm. I guess what I'm doing now, which I'm trying to get better at. I'm trying to get better at cooking and it's those things where it's like, man, so it's that.
But you still want your meal to be the best.
I'm trying to be the best. Be the best.
We had a cocktail competition sort of a little while ago, and he sitting there making them. I'm like, I could make. That's the kind of thing that I appreciate it. But
Yeah, that's a that's a good one. I mean, that would have but that would have had to be like for something like that had to be like generations before us where it wasn't put on. Because I feel like that survival that drive is
yeah,
coming from
yeah, that weight.
yeah
Yeah,
where we're like
yeah,
I got you, and then just that want. I mean, just that want for more.
yeah,
I guess that's what it was always. I wanted more and I wanted better, not to say that I wasn't happy with with what I had growing up, but it was like to make my parents
yeah.
proud,
Proud. Yeah,
to say
yeah.
so that they could go, yep,
He ain't the idiot I thought they
that's
were. I
right,
thought he was. I know that was my drive,
yep.
and
So
that's one of my biggest regrets that I can't control. Is I wish my dad could have seen me make sergeant major, and just because just because I felt like he deserved it. You know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
And I really wish that it wouldn't have. Well, I mean, there's no way I could have done anything faster, but it was just like I really wish he could have been there just to hear, even if he don't tell me, just for my mom to tell me later that sorry, mate, because when he passed, I was still a knucklehead. I was almost sergeant first class. I was an instructor at the NCO Academy, so I was squared away,
Mm-hmm.
because I made, my progression was on point. But I just, and I'm sure that he probably wasn't even thinking about that. But my whole thing was like I told you before, when I bought my first house, it was with him in mind. Even though he wasn't around, he had already been gone 6 years. But I was just like, yeah, he'd love this house, like he,
Mm-hmm.
and I would imagine him coming over and us watching sports, or him coming to hang out with me and all that stuff. So, but
But I'm sure that because you had been in the military for how many years? But when he passed,
I just hit 13.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sure he was like
and that's what
he
I'm
taking care
saying.
of us. He it's something that he's sticking with. He taking care of himself because if you think about, I mean, again, you think about it with I just want my kids to be able to take care of themselves.
Yeah,
I want them to take care of themselves, and I feel like the rest of it will work itself out
yeah,
because then they will have that drive. That
yeah,
they'll have that drive, and they'll if they want more, they'll want more.
yeah.
They'll do what they need to do. If they don't, then they'll be able to maintain where they are. But I
Yeah.
just want them to be able to take care of themselves. Well, like if I'm not here, I want them to be able to still take care of themselves and be happy.
Yes, and I want them to be comfortable,
Yeah.
and that's where, like that's where the second part of this question is. Like, what if your drive came from curiosity instead of pressure? Do you think you'd be able to say this? And the reason I asked this second part of that question is because this is a full circle moment to where our kids are. Every parent had to deal with this point to where they don't.
I think that's our kids now, or it's curiosity of
That's right.
things, and
Absolutely,
and we put the pressure on them.
absolutely.
And I
And
mean,
we
and I
take the L's that they don't even see. They
you know,
see them as, oh well, but we look at it like a tattoo on our forehead. Loss, So if you don't know, for me, this has been a full circle moment because the point of this is, yes, the stress that I've had, and the exhaustion that I feel that I've had because of the extra weight. But then the more you look into it, we accept that weight, or we don't. It's one of those things that if you're,
but do you even realize the weight? Whenever whatever the situation is there.
I don't think you realize it because it's transferred to some points, some parts of it. My dad's experiences in his life were completely different than mine, because his experiences, he was born in 44. So he lived through the 50s, the Jim Crow.
Yep.
He lived through the late 60s, 70s where Black Power was coming up. But all of that being called the N word or being called colored, he experienced that. To not wear the N word for me growing up was uh, outside of black people because it had 1,000 definitions. But when it came from other races using that word, it was automatically intent to degrade
To
me
hurt.
or
Yeah.
to hurt me. When Dad was coming up, it was such a norm that they used it because you didn't have a chance of being a human in their world. You know what I'm saying? You didn't have a chance. I was watching a TikTok the other day, and it's from the 50s, and it was a group of white people, and they were talking about the possibility of integrating schools, and they were just going,
Upset.
oh no, not upset. They were on 38. They were on fire because they were sitting there talking about, you know, they're not like us. They don't have the ability, it's already bad enough that they come into the neighborhood that the land value goes down. They're not bringing anything to the neighborhood. Why would we bring them? They don't have the intellect. And then one guy was like, "You're just going to have to show us, because if it's going to happen, then we're not going to welcome them." And I'm just sitting there like, come on, man.
Yeah,
That was 20 years before I was born. And people were feeling that fired up and that bad about it. And then you see what's going on now. You're like, where does that anger come from? And then you said it a few times, and it's the fear that people have of other races is staggering, especially when it comes to white and black, because black people have been here for a long time. We're talking 400 years, right? And of those 400 years, we have yet to massacre the white race and erase it.
I mean, that's the thing.
That's
It's like,
my
who
point.
wants to do that? I
That's
mean,
my
why
point.
would you want to
So
do
it's so
that?
obvious that that's not the black people that I know and my family and my history. All they've consistently tried to do is improve their place.
Yep.
That's all they've tried to do. It went from slaves to now you're no longer called a slave, but you're still treated like an animal. And then they went from that to Jim Crow, to where now they just want to hang you if they can catch you slipping, or beat you up, or accuse you of something. And so all we try to do is just, everybody wants a house, everybody wants a family. Not everybody, but the American dream is still the same, and we're still trying to just enjoy that dream and let our kids grow up without being freaking beat down or pushed or whatever. So I don't know. But my answer to that question is, I don't know. If it wasn't pressure, I don't know if I'd be in the military. I don't know. Like, for all these years, it took for me to be here now to find out my curiosity is in like social media and stuff like that. So I can honestly say I don't know where I'd be. I don't know. I'm still competitive, and that doesn't come from, it comes from a different pressure.
Yeah, it's
So
a situation, man.
yeah.
I mean, because it's like you. I mean, I think about this more, and it's like I feel like I put the pressure on myself.
And that's the thing. You accepted that
Yeah,
weight.
I mean, I think it got to a point where the pressure was me.
Yeah.
Where it was like, okay, this is what I want, because then it turns into what you want.
Yep.
So yeah,
Yeah. And that's it. So we were raised with one kind of weight. We passed down what we thought was protection. And now we're watching our kids grow up. They're grown now, and they don't have the same weight on their shoulders. They're not carrying what we carried, And then realizing that different doesn't mean deficient or lacking. And that's the biggest lesson that I've had to learn, is that if my son's not just like me, that's okay. Because just like me is not like it's the epitome of
what's right.
perfect is.
Yeah, I mean that's this is basic. I would tell folks, young kids, whatever. It's okay to be who you are.
Yeah.
And still be successful.
100%.
So.
And you measure what your success is.
Exactly.
Not somebody else.
So until next time, y'all. Let's keep the conversation going. Come back and talk to us.
Holla.
Right. Peace.